Dash dash, 51, Proof of God of Zalman? Constant creation. The world is created over and over in every instant. God is there since world needs infinite series of creations to sustain it. Dash dash, 52, Proof of God of author, Aristotle, Maimonides, Kant, and Einstein, invert and unify their ideas. First, Aristotle gives proofs that there is no freedom in the universe, refuted him. Second, Maimonides says that freedom is a fundamental requirement of religion. Third, Kant says that if we are free then need immortality to ensure justice, and so God exists to make it possible, need immortality also to help us reach moral perfection, which is a limitless journey. Fourth, Einstein says that if we are not free and God created us, then he is judging himself if he rewards or punishes us. So he would not do it. So we are free, despite Aristotle and Maimonides, and we can prove that man is immortal, and this cannot be a coincidence but a miracle. So, God exists and made so and will make it so, and this is reasonable since this world cannot be sufficient reward for all that man accomplishes, according to Kant. So if prove justice in the world, then God must exist and make us immortal. We can make ourselves immortal even? Kant said need God to make each person's happiness proportional to his morality, but can we do that? Not perfectly. Prove justice in the world, earthly justice, i.e., getting reward and punishment exactly as deserved right away, and keeping eternal reward and punishment for afterlife. Dash dash, 53, Proof of God based on Bayes' theorem, reasons from effect to God. Mysterious. So apply it to God, the first cause, from effects. So, example P equals sum of P, B I asterisk P, A I B. Dash dash, 54, Proof of God by author, partial differential equations. There are three kinds of linear partial differential equation. These are typified by the wave equation, the heat equation, and the potential equation, Laplace. If God is a form of energy like these that may move through space-time, like a wave, is God electromagnetic wave even non-visible light? Or is God an electromagnetogravitational wave? Really? Can higher order partial differential equations also? 1. The wave equation has form of sum of second order partial derivatives of the function f with respect to all four coordinates, x, y, z, t. 2. The heat equation has form of sum of second order partial derivatives of the function f, w, r, t, the three space axes 1, and first order partial derivative of the time axis. 3. The potential equation has form of sum of second order partial derivatives of the function f, w, r, t, the three spatial dimensions, and some function of time. Can you prove that there is a higher being who is the ruler of the earth? If he affected the earth, then would need m waves and gravitational waves linking him to earth. M waves for communication and gravitational waves for acting in the world. So we can prove that this entity is God by showing that these wave fields go back and forth between earth and him in a dynamic way rather than in a fixed way, i.e., acts of free will, not blind acts of nature. There are m waves and heat waves coming to earth at least from the sun and have a potential on earth due to the fields of earth on it. These equations of physics assume that m waves, gravitational waves, and potential obey fixed laws, so if God exists then we may predict that these equations will not be valid here on earth. Maybe they will just not be homogeneous, i.e., add a function g, x, y, z, t, to the RHS of all three equations. They will have a driving force. The three equations are laws of waves coming to earth. But if God exists then he breaks these laws of nature to achieve his goals. So m, g, and p coming to earth do not obey these laws all the time, which means that they are affected by miracles. Dash dash, 55, Proof of God of author / Heisenberg, Quantum Mechanics. The uncertainty principle. QM claims the law of causality breaks down at quantum levels, so an electron sent in the same direction may end up at different places despite same initial conditions. We can't know the exact position and velocity of a particle, only given by probability. but it is unlikely that the electron has free will or just goes randomly. Einstein would deny that, so likely the electrons and other particles obey laws of causality only. This law is broken often by intervention of God, i.e., miracles, to help achieve his will in the world. But Einstein denied the idea of a personal God. Why is there a breakdown of the law of causality? So freedom is possible? Einstein seemed to prefer Spinoza in theology. Schrödinger gave an equation that describes the motion of particles. Born gave an interpretation of that equation by saying that the absolute square of Schrödinger's wave function is the probability density of finding the particle. Born said -1 does not get an answer to the question, what is the state after the collision? But only to the question, how probable is a given effect of the collision? I.e., no quantity exists in Qm which causally to fixes the effect. He renounces determinism in the atomic world. Laws of causality can be broken. But Max Born says that determinism is a philosophical question and is not proven by physical arguments. For Einstein, the chance character of spontaneous processes, according to his equation, meant that something was not right with classical causality. Which direction will photon go? At what time will photon be released? Causality caused Einstein a lot of trouble. Einstein believed in supercausality, i.e., that all natural phenomena are determined by causes not only in temporal sequence but also in their initial state. Should have overdetermined system of partial differential equations if this is true according to him. So refute this to allow for miracles. Aristotle considered cause in four senses: matter, formal, efficient, and final cause. Aristotle rejected ideas of cause as chance or free will. Kant had four, really five, antinomies each considering causality. He claimed that David Hume had doubt about whether causality existed in the world. His antinomies tried to prove that. The science of physics uses causality in the sense of efficient cause. Schrödinger's equation agrees with experiments when solution of it is possible. It is often insolvable even though it applies to atoms besides hydrogen and to even molecules. It is also a partial differential equation of second order of the function phi with respect to the spatial coordinates but is independent of time. It depends on mass of particle, total energy, potential energy, and h, i.e., Planck's constant. Phi is the wave function associated with a particle. Born held it to be a philosophical question. The equation gives three quantum numbers which relate to energy levels of particles and types of orbits they follow. Later a fourth quantum number was added, which refers to spin of the particle. It has two values only. Heisenberg's matrix mechanics is equivalent and was published a little while before the wave mechanics of Schrödinger. The interpretation of phi, phi, at any point in space, x, y, z, is that it is proportional to the probability of finding the particle there. In case of electrons, it can be interpreted as being proportional to the electric charge density. A function is a probability density function, or density for short, called f, x, if for a continuous random variable x, p, axb, equals integral from a to b of f, x, dx. So that the area under the curve f, x, gives the probabilities associated with corresponding intervals along the horizontal axis, i.e., values of random variable. You integrate the probability density function from AB to get the probability corresponding for it to take values in that interval. Here phi is 3. Phi, x, y, z. Simplified since no time dimension. Also in higher dimensions. Can have a joint probability density function when the function is a function of several random variables, so that p, x, y, z, in R equals triple integral over R of f, stu, stu. Random number is the position, but that is in 3D. If God exists, then 1, he should be able to change the laws of nature at will. Physicists would resist this idea. 2, he should be able to intervene in the world at will and break cause and effect links. Einstein seems to deny even this idea. QM grants that an atomic particle may not obey the law of causality, so they agree. For example, Born held that there is no strict connection between cause and effect, or that the answer is beyond the science of physics and is left to philosophy. But since they are not free agents, don't think that electrons are quantum computers, or are chance events possible. So, God could intervene. But God is another cause too. Yes, but it is beyond the physical world, from outside a transcendental cause. But the same applies to people's intervention if they have a soul. Einstein denies that we have a soul if we are free. Since he denies freedom in world, or if we have a soul, then it is not free for him. Revolution quantum computer model of electron and other subatomic particles. 3. God intervenes. Einstein refused to believe that electrons are free. But if laws of nature are not strictly determined, necessary, then God had more freedom in intervention. 56. Proof of God of author, sensory modality. We may create technology to give us a new kind of sense organ, not just enhance, degree, the 5 or more sense organs that we have now. Since if God is in another kind of world, then we can't relate to him without a new type of perception. 57. Proof of God of author, multiple sensory organ. We can use several sensory organs to confirm the same thing and to avoid Kant's criticism of our having any knowledge of noumena. God is a noumena. For Kant, the noumena cannot be given in experience except possibly by phenomena which represents it indirectly to us. This is based mainly in his transcendental dialectic arguments involving the antimonies of pure reason. Though he is right in a sense, it can be shown that his impressive proofs are not valid. For example, a poor conception of infinity, since there is no such thing, combining 2 lines of arguments into one when each precedes 4. On a premise contradicting that used in the other argument. 58. Proof of God of author, complex variables. Mathematics predicts the existence of a transcendental universe, called imaginary at present. Since can have magnitudes which are the square root of -1, so not in our real physical world, especially since some physicists believe in negative energy, and God would be in the transcendental universe. Indeed, imaginary extension of our universe has helped solve real problems in mathematics by entering it, working there, and then coming back with a solution. 59. Proof of God based on Einstein, mass, energy, space, time, etc. are different in every coordinate system according to special and general relativity. If so, then God exists everywhere and knows everything that goes on in every reference frame. It should be possible to express knowledge independently of the reference frame, else have infinite insights needed. But Einstein showed it is possible to express knowledge of all such objects in one independent superformula. No reference frames. But can go higher than acceleration? It is still a great approximation. Einstein says that QM quantum numbers imply that we can express the field equations in algebra even. Since get a finite set of solutions. The field equations assume continuity which involves infinite points. Critique of Einstein, but this is not so. The same applies to the model of the solar system given by Newton and Einstein. Since planets only take certain orbits, like electrons in atoms, it is because only a sufficient force is capable of making a planet, or electron, leave a stable orbit and move and stay in another orbit, or become a rogue planet, or electron. So create resonance force law as an aside to Newton and Galileo's law of inertia. 60. Proof of God based on Kant is Copernican revolution. Objects correspond to our knowledge, not vice versa. So can no experience in our mind, so add if God exists and created us, then it should be possible to perceive him. So find out his nature and nature of our perception and see if there exists a way to perceive him as would be necessary if he exists.